A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a significant development that has raised alarms among Palestinians and human rights advocates, the Israeli government has granted final approval for a contentious settlement project in the occupied West Bank. This project, located in the E1 area east of Jerusalem, is poised to effectively bifurcate the territory, posing a substantial threat to the viability of a future Palestinian state. The approval comes after more than 2 decades of consideration, during which the project faced delays primarily due to pressure from the United States during previous administrations. On Wednesday, the Israeli Planning and Building Committee finalized the decision, dismissing the last remaining petitions against the project on August 6th. If the timeline proceeds as anticipated, infrastructure work could commence in the coming months, with the construction of approximately 3,500 apartments set to begin within a year. Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, a far-right politician, emphasized the significance of the approval during a press conference held at the site last Thursday, framing it as a direct response to Western nations that have recently expressed intentions to recognize a Palestinian state. Smotrich stated, "The Palestinian state is being erased from the table not with slogans, but with actions. Every settlement, every neighborhood, every housing unit is another nail in the coffin of this dangerous idea." The geographical significance of the E1 area cannot be overstated, as it serves as one of the last remaining connections between Ramallah in the northern West Bank and Bethlehem in the south. Although the two cities are only 22 kilometers apart in a straight line, Palestinians are forced to navigate a convoluted route that involves multiple Israeli checkpoints, often adding hours to their journey. The organization Peace Now, which monitors settlement expansion in the West Bank, has condemned the E1 project, labeling it deadly for the future of Israel and for any chance of achieving a peaceful two-state solution, warning that it could lead to prolonged violence in the region. The expansion of Israeli settlements continues to complicate the already fraught reality for Palestinians living under occupation, especially as global attention shifts towards the ongoing conflict in Gaza. Reports indicate a troubling uptick in violent incidents involving settlers and Palestinians, alongside evictions from Palestinian communities and the imposition of restrictive checkpoints that severely limit freedom of movement. Presently, over 700,000 Israelis reside in the occupied West Bank and East Jerusalem, territories that were captured by Israel during the 1967 war and are sought by Palestinians for a future sovereign state. The international community largely views Israeli settlement construction in these areas as illegal and a significant barrier to peace negotiations. The current Israeli government, characterized by a coalition of religious and ultranationalist politicians, has strong ties to the settlement movement. Smotrich, who previously led settler initiatives, now holds a cabinet position with authority over settlement policies and has expressed intentions to double the settler population in the West Bank. While Israel has officially annexed East Jerusalem and claims it as part of its capital, this assertion is not recognized internationally. The Israeli government maintains that the West Bank is disputed territory, with its final status to be determined through negotiations. In a related development, Canada has imposed sanctions targeting specific Israeli settlers implicated in violent actions against Palestinians. Alongside other Western nations, Canada has also directed sanctions at Smotrich and National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir for their perceived incitements of violence against Palestinians, prompting strong reactions from the Israeli government. Tensions escalated this summer when diplomats from several Western nations faced gunfire from Israeli soldiers while visiting the West Bank city of Jenin. The Israeli Defense Forces, IDF, claimed that warning shots were fired after diplomats strayed from an agreed route, although video evidence contradicted this narrative, showing soldiers aiming their weapons horizontally. This incident prompted a strong condemnation from Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, who deemed the shooting totally unacceptable. Meanwhile, the Israeli military announced plans to mobilize tens of thousands of reservists and extend the service of others in preparation for an expanded military operation in Gaza City. This operation, awaiting final approval from military leadership, is expected to involve the call-up of 60,000 reservists and the extension of service for an additional 20,000 active personnel. The timeline for the commencement of this operation remains uncertain. This planned offensive comes amid increasing international criticism of Israel's restrictions on humanitarian aid reaching Gaza, raising fears of further mass displacement among Palestinians. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has articulated that the objective of the military campaign is to secure the release of hostages still held by Hamas and to ensure that Hamas and other militant groups can no longer pose a threat to Israel. However, families of the hostages, along with former military and intelligence officials, have voiced opposition to the expanded military operation, fearing that it could jeopardize efforts to bring home the 50 hostages believed to be alive in Gaza. In a notable development, Arab mediators and Hamas have indicated that the leaders of the militant group have agreed to ceasefire terms put forth by Arab leaders, although the details and implications of this agreement remain to be seen. The situation in the region continues to evolve rapidly, with potential repercussions for both Israeli and Palestinian communities as tensions remain high. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.